The show is produced at the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll be right back after this brief break.
Okay, so maybe you didn't finish or broke your New Year's resolution to get to the gym or start that project you had kept on the back burner since, well, okay, the dawn of time. I get it. That's okay. But there's one thing you can do to get back that inspiration, that can-do spirit. Perhaps you or someone you know has a vehicle that they don't drive anymore. Why not consider donating it to the National Federation of the Blind? All you have to do is call 866-282-7327. That's 866-282-7327. You can also log online to nfb.org and click donate. And maybe you know someone that's blind. You can reach out to NFB at nfb.org. That's NFB at nfb.org. So what do you have to lose? You have everything to gain by helping someone in need, like your motivation. Oh, and a tax deduction. So why not get started today? And remember, charity is only a phone call away.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Dr. Mark Tobak, author of Anyone Can Be Rich. Dr. Tobak, when we pick a stock, do we kind of get into an emotional attachment and we just don't want to let it go because we think it's going to be the next big winner, even if we see it going down?
Oh, yeah, that's a big part of human nature. It's even true when you buy a car. When you buy a car, suddenly that car's a whole lot better than before you bought it. And you're proud of it, and you want to think good things about it, and you ignore the defects. I mean, if you really have a lemon, and we don't have many lemons nowadays, that's a term from my childhood and yours, people like stuff better after they own it, and they convince themselves that they made a really good choice. And that there's a Wall Street maxim, never fall in love with a stock, because people will hold on, and they don't want to sell it because that would mean that they failed. And people don't like to fail.
You had an interesting comment in there. You say loss hurts 2 or 3 times as much as gain feels good. So I guess that's one of the reasons why we hold on?
Yeah, we hold on because once you sell, you've acknowledged the loss. So people tend, if they're working emotionally, and this is why I talk about emotions and cognition as an area that I can speak to as a psychiatrist, people love to win and hate to lose. You call somebody a loser, you better get ready for a punch. You win when you sell the stock. Then you've got the profit and you feel like a hero. But oftentimes you sell and the stock continues to go up, and you shouldn't have sold it. I sold Amazon to buy a generator for my house. I am very sorry I made that sale, even though I think at the time I had trebled my money. But I could have bought 100 generators if I've held on to it. So people tend to sell their winners, keep their losers, and that's a prescription for not doing well in the market. Now, I should mention that nothing in my book suggests that the way to win is by buying individual stocks, because there is an arc to individual stocks, and many go up and later go down. So buying individual stocks, what was the hero stock of my childhood was GM, and it was said that as GM goes, so goes the nation. Do you remember that?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Well, we know where GM went. Went to bankruptcy and it destroyed the common shareholder. But meanwhile, the market ascended. So if you want to approach the market and be assured of winning, because we want to win our bets, we don't want to lose them. And there is a temptation to bet risky bets. Our heroes in the movies, James Bond and Indiana Jones, they take enormous risks and then they win, and we love them for it. But if you take enormous risks in life, you are very likely to lose and lose your fortune and lose your chance at building a fortune. So you want the safest bet, and the safest bet is not an individual stock. It's the broad market.
And Dr. Mark Tobak, to our audience, I'd like them to understand that, first of all, you are a psychiatrist. You're not telling them individual stocks, bonds, gold, real estate to buy, and you're not claiming. You're showing us the barriers in our mind to being rich.
Yeah.
Your book is Anyone Can Be Rich. And where can we get the book? And tell us where the website is.
The website is marktobakmd.org. The book is described on the website, and there's a link to Amazon where you can get the book. You can also get the book at Barnes & Noble.
And you mentioned in your book some financial tricks, and you call credit cards and casino chips two of the ones. Just show us how mentally that plays with our mind and gets us spending more.
Oh, well, when people pay out cash, they're letting go cash. They feel that. That hurts. They feel the loss of the cash. When they hand over a credit card, they don't feel the same pain. A, they're not losing the cash at the moment. B, the bill doesn't come for a month. And C, you can not open the bill. You can hide the bill from a spouse. You may never deal with the bill and put it out of your mind. And the credit card companies love that because the revolving interest, the fees, the penalties for not paying it, they laugh all the way to the bank. Meanwhile, Americans are in enormous debt to credit card companies at terrible, terrible rates. And I know Warren Buffett has said a lot of the letters that he gets from people who are crying over money are people who've been destroyed by medical bills and credit card debt. And, of course, the other factor that you mentioned, the casino. Casinos are designed to pick your pocket and make you like it because it's fun. It's a lot of fun to bet. And we bet with system number one in the brain, that we're a pack of dogs when we go into casinos. We're just not thinking odds. We're not thinking what we're likely to win and not likely to win. We're just playing, and we're having a ball. But we can come out very poor. There are no do-overs at casinos. Your chance of winning is very small. It's designed that way. If there were a game that people could easily win, it would be shut down in a minute.
Now, Dr. Tobak, at this point in the show, again, we want to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today our guest is Dr. Mark Tobak, author of Anyone Can Be Rich. Dr. Tobak, I know in your book you mentioned compound interest, and that's a little foreign to most of us. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. We don't see James Bond or the Kardashians talking about compound interest. Can you tell us simply what it is and why you feel it's so important?
Compound interest is interest that is on the interest. When you were in grade school, they taught you simple interest. If you lent $1 at 5% interest, at the end of the year you get $1.05. End of the 2 years you get $1.10. End of 3 years got $1.15. Compound interest is interest on the original dollar plus interest on the interest. Now, interest on the interest sounds like it would really be chump change, and it is at the beginning. It's pennies. But if you build that up over the years, it turns into tremendous wealth. And the best example is the penny doubled every month. Every day of a 31-day month turns into $10 million. And people just don't know it. They just don't know it. So the best example I know in real life is the 10% rate that you would have gotten. I don't know if we're going to get it in the future. Some people say it's going to be closer to 7%, but historically, over the past 50 years, it's been a 10% rate. The S&P 500 goes up 10% per year on average. If you invested $5 a day, that's about $1,800 per year, $1,875, which many people spend on the lottery, or they spend it at Starbucks, or they spend it at McDonald's. If you invested that $5 every day for 10 years in the S&P 500, at the end of that time, $2.5 million. People just can't believe that, but it's real.
Wow. It's amazing things like this that you bring out in your book. And again, you're not pushing us in any one direction. You're not trying to get us to do these things. But there's always, and you point out, there's always people. And in fact, it's funny today, I had about 4 or 5 phone calls. And finally, my wife went on the internet and they said, if you see that number coming up, it is a scam. But from the same entity, sounding like something was important when I call them back because something came up on my account or whatever. And you also warn us about those things and how people aren't out there to help us. So if they're reaching out by persistent phone calls or coming to us with a grand idea, why are they coming to us with it? And to be a little more careful.
Oh, you must be very careful. Humans are evolved to cooperate. I mean, hundreds of thousands of years ago, our predecessors were in small bands of a few hundred people, and you had to cooperate. If you didn't cooperate, you got shunned. So we're very cooperative. People are pretty nice. And if you're nice and a person who is predatory takes advantage of that, you're going to lose. So you have to be guarded in all financial transactions because there are plenty of people out there to get us. Some of their names make the papers, some of them don't, and they're doing very well exploiting people that don't know better.
Mark, just because you talked about compound interest, is there a fund? I know you talked about the Vanguard Fund. I know they're known to have very low expense ratios. Is there a fund or something that you would say, hey, if you want to take advantage of this compounding, put that $5, what is it, a day or a week or each month or some total in on a regular basis that you would recommend?
There are only two recommendations in my book. One of them is Vanguard S&P 500 fund. There's an Admiral fund. There's VOO, which is publicly traded, but it's not a managed fund. It's just they buy the S&P 500, and the expense ratio is extraordinarily low. And the other recommendation that's in my book is Berkshire Hathaway. And Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett's company, and they've made 20%, not 10%, but 20% historically, and they probably are going to be nowhere near that in the future. More recently, they've been closer to the 10% mark.
I'd still take that over the bank. It sounds good to me.
It sounds very good, and the other thing that's good about it is that there is never a dividend, so there's never a taxable event unless and until you sell it.
Is that on the Vanguard you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about on Berkshire Hathaway.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Now, Dr. Mark Tobak, we want to thank you for being with us today. Your book is Anyone Can Be Rich. And if you want to be rich, meaning our audience, pick up a copy of the book. Tobak is spelled T-O-B-A-K. His first name is Mark. And again, the title is Anyone Can Be Rich. Dr. Tobak, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's been our pleasure. We'd like to remind our audience that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Please join us again next week, and we'll continue our journey to success.